this was an abusive relationship, a toxic relationship, because even in the past, not just this year, when Shraddha Walker was so tragically killed, but even back in 2020 and in 2021, her friends have attested that she had texted them. Some of them went to rescue her in 2021. They saw bruises on her neck, in her chest, in her nose. And at that time, too, she had said that she will leave Aaftab. She had, in fact, stayed at a friend's house for 2 days, but somehow the third day he managed to say something to her and brought her back. Her friends say that Aaftab used to emotionally blackmail her. Why would anyone be in such a physically and mentally abusive relationship?
Better. So there are lots of reasons if a person is into a toxic relationship and not even do the efforts to get out of that relationship. The first thing is she started talking about that the relationship was toxic, and that's a good thing there. But he has seen the red flags. Maybe the codependency is one word which I can say, that when you are living with the abusive partner and you don't have the courage to walk out. Second thing is, I will say that emotionally the person is very weak. The person maybe had a history of past, maybe have a violent relationships, maybe had witnessed abusive relationships of parents. It may be one of the reasons. May herself had a history of bullying also, maybe, or a history of some molestation, because we don't know about her past. So the friends are now talking about these things, that she was like having those things. Maybe 5 months or 6 months back, nobody talked about this. So you have to understand that when the person is in such sort of relationship, sometimes you can't able to take rejection. This is the one major problem I have seen in the couples. They are not able to say rejection. Okay, I walked out, I left my city, I walked out from my parents, take a stand against this man, how I can go back. And other reason what I have seen in the couple's finances. You can say this couple was financially, because this guy was also in 20s, maybe financially not settled that much. So those, what sort of financial background, and you have big dreams, you are not able to achieve that. There is no boundaries. As in the relationship, they met through a dating app, maybe have a physical intimacy issue, how the relationship started off. And you, for the physical relationship, lots of couples that whenever they had a fight, they end up with the physical intimacy, which is not a good sign, that you don't sit and resolve those issues.
Okay, I want to ask Mrinalini Deshmukh as a lawyer, something that is staggering for me is after he did what he did, killed his girlfriend, cut up her body into 30-odd parts and then stored it in a fridge, the police are now saying that Poonawalla allegedly got in touch with other women as well. He went on with life as normal using the same dating app, Bumble, in which he had first come into contact with Shraddha Walker. This was in 2019. In fact, one of these women, the Delhi police believe, even came to that house, the very same house where Shraddha was killed and her body parts were cut up and stored in a fridge. How can anyone carry on with life like nothing ever happened? And what does it say of these other people who came to that house, that no fingers of suspicion were raised at that time? Their antennas were not up.
So actually, I think this is one of the best crime thrillers that one has ever seen or witnessed, to put it in a little lighter vein. It is terrible, it's horrific, it is shocking beyond words. And as my earlier panelist was also talking about, why did this girl, Shraddha, take it for so long? I think it's something what is known as a Stockholm syndrome, where a victim starts enjoying the captivity under which she lives. And that is the reason why it cannot be love. It cannot be that this girl was so foolish to be able to not see through the psychic behavior or the abnormal behavior of this man. There are fights, there are issues, there are disputes between couples, undoubtedly. But I think this was beyond something. And to answer your question, that how is it that the people who were being entertained by him after chopping her and keeping in the refrigerator? I mean, I have questions asked about Shraddha, or were they completely kept in dark about it and said that, oh, she's traveling on work or she's gone to her parents or something of that sort? We really have no idea about it. We can only know once the police starts investigating these people who he was talking to or whom he was inviting.
Just paint this picture in your head, ma'am. Just 10 seconds. Paint this picture in your head. You are sitting in a room with another man who you met just a few days ago on a dating app, and right next to you is a refrigerator in which there is a dead body. I mean, how macabre is that?
Absolutely. And absolutely. I think there is much more to it than the way what the investigation is now recording.
Mm-hmm.
Was it kept in the fridge? Was it kept in a fridge which was kept somewhere which was not in a typical places like a living room or a kitchen, wherever you may otherwise have it? We really don't have the details. We just have a detail that it was kept in the fridge. I think the investigation report that comes out will give us finer details, which probably the police are now not revealing, for, of course, for right reasons, because they don't want the investigation to be hampered by any
I also want to bring in this aspect, and I'll get Nirmal Kaur to respond to this. So, first of all, the fact that he carries on with life, is dating other women, bringing some of them over as well, even as he has just killed his girlfriend and partner, and her body parts are still inside the fridge in his living room. But more importantly, according to investigators, Poonawalla also logs into Shraddha Walker's Instagram accounts. He messages her friends privately to give the impression that she's still alive. He also pays her credit card bills so that the credit card companies don't go to her house in Mumbai from where these credit cards have been registered. So explain to us the absolute criminal bent of mind of such a person who not only kills his partner but also has the criminal bent of mind to go to her Instagram account, to message her friends to give the impression that she's alive, and to pay her credit card bills.
This is a very, it's obviously a very smart criminal. It's psychopathic behavior, it's psychopathic behavior on the face of it. But if you see deeply, there's a lot of social approval to this kind of a behavior, in socialization of these boys, because they think that all the non-Muslim girls are kafir girls and they're not even human beings. Even our cattle's better than them. And, they're there just to be captured, to be violated, to be used as, sex machines or something, or to be converted to our religion and to add to our race. This is the kind of socialization. And also in religion, this kind of behavior, if you're converting others or if you're, lessening the kafir kind of population or taking away the kafir thing, that has a lot of approval in which, you are.
May I just intervene for 10 seconds? So far from the police, yes, the father in some interviews has suggested that he suspects that there is a love jihad angle, but the police so far are completely refraining from that, saying this has nothing to do with any attempted forced conversion or change of faith or any of that. This was just a love affair that went sour, and of course, he happens to be an absolute maniac that he did this to the person that he was living with.
In this entire episode, where do you see his love? Where is the love?
No, it is obvious to all of us. It's obvious to all of us. Clearly, it was not obvious to Shraddha Walker.
Though then the question of a love affair doesn't enter. It was just war for him. Some kind of a conquest and a love jihad. What else is it? To win a girl over and to,
No, which is why I'm saying again that so far the police are suggesting that there is nothing to show some kind of a love jihad angle. That's what the police are saying. That's what I'm placing on record.
I don't know if a relationship comes, obviously in this relationship, if there was any love, it was only from Shraddha's side, who clung on to him despite all the, all things to the contrary.
I want to go to Dr. Shetty. Dr. Shetty, today Aaftab was taken to this forest area where he disposed of her body parts 6 months ago. Explain to our viewers, what is even recoverable from these body parts? Will they be in a position where they can be sent for forensic analysis? Will any material of any value or worth, which can be produced in court, be recovered from these body parts? What state will they be in 6 months on now?
Good evening, all my panelists. Good evening to all your viewers. What police have told that they have recovered few bone pieces from the site, the forest area.
Yes.
Up to 5 to 10 years, it won't be an issue. Only thing, the first part is they'll get a small pieces of bone, where it's very difficult to identify whether it's a human or animal. So the particular bone will be subject to precipitin test or electrophoresis, where we can make it as come to conclusion that this particular small piece of bone will be a human or not.
Okay.
If it is human, then the second step is that we are supposed to go for DNA analysis, where they'll take a blood from a parents and compare it, and they'll come to conclusion. I had a similar case, 3 or 4 cases I had. Out of the 2 have been convicted for almost 10 years imprisonment. So this case will definitely go for conviction, provided they get a single piece of bone.
And how easy or difficult will it be to prove that it is indeed Shraddha Walker's body remains?
Yeah, it's enough. One small piece of bone is enough to tell that it belongs to Shraddha Walker's body, based on the DNA analysis.
Okay, fair enough. Let me go back to Dr. Nisha Khanna. Again, you know, you look at some of his Instagram posts. Apparently, he had 28,000 followers on Instagram. It used to be primarily a food blog. People are also resharing his old Facebook posts in which he talks about women's rights, environmentalism, support for LGBTQ rights. It's almost like a schizophrenic personality. The outward personality that he's putting out on social media to his friends, to his family, to the outside world, and what he was really with his girlfriend and live-in partner, it's like almost like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes, it happens. I think so. When I highlighted on different channels that a person on the same time can love you, and the same aspect of another aspect of your personality completely hate the person. It may be a possibility. Now it is schizophrenia, whether it is a split personality, whether it is psychopathic traits. That guy is suffering from severe psychiatric illness. There is no doubt. The psychopathic, brilliant IQ. He planned everything out to buy the fridge and cut the girl into pieces. It's all there. No empathy, no remorse. All those things are there. The way I was again relationship. She didn't take a stand. It may be because of Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome is that when a person is into love with someone and the other person or your partner is abusive, you can take the abuse. Recently, movie on I think it's on Netflix, Darling of Alia Bhatt. Yeah. It talks about the Stockholm syndrome, where the woman was in love with the man who was abusive, and they had a love marriage. I'm finding it out. You can correlate this. This girl was in love with the guy who was abusive, and it's like a Stockholm syndrome is not an illness. It is a coping defense mechanism a person may have when the person is into abusive relationship.
No, what I do want to know, Dr. Khanna, is if he indeed had, this kind of split personality or schizophrenic behavior, how come he didn't show any of these traits to either his friends or family? How come none of them picked this up before he went on to do what he went to do to Shraddha Walker?
Because the person is having brilliance in emotional IQ. Intelligence is very high. I know what to hide, when to hide, what to speak, how to handle. And if the person is like, the communication skills of the person is brilliant. That's why I'm saying it. How much energy or intelligence you require to be a scientist. Similar amount of intelligence you require to be a terrorist or to be a murderer. As I would say that you are sharpening your skills on the negative traits.
Okay.
Negative traits when you are taking this. Communication skills, how I can influence people. As you said, in the age of 20, he has 28,000 followers. How to present self. How to be influenced others. It was easy for him to do so. And that's why you try to talk about that he knows that what are the weak points of other person. Maybe this girl's weak points are. And when you are saying people are not aware about mental health issues, people are not aware about psychiatric illnesses. India is very far away. They are not having any length about when the person is suffering from any mental illness, where there are the red flags, how to identify those signs. It's very important.
Mrinalini Deshmukh, one aspect that needs to be sort of highlighted and questions will be asked is about, checks and balances on some of these new social media sites, whether it's dating apps like Bumble or even, direct messaging on apps like Instagram. How is it that people are dropping their walls of, suspicion or walls of, you don't just, meet someone on the internet once or twice and then, be ready to go to his house. I mean, why were her antennas not up? How can you implicitly trust people who you meet on the internet with just a few hours of interaction?
So that's exactly what the main question is. I think what we need to address is about these dating apps also. One of the reasons that we have to understand is what is the data that is being given. If I want to enroll myself on this dating apps, How do they verify whether the data that I am giving, what are the balances that, I mean, what are the checks and balances that they do, and what is the verification they do? Nothing. It is just based on what information I am giving.
Yeah.
And the other person is equally gullible to fall for that information, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram. Nobody goes and checks what it is, whether it's a fake account or whether it's a genuine account. My suggestion, and taking a clue from certain things, and as horrific as Shraddha's murder, I think there should be check on these dating apps. There should be they should be held liable for making two people come together without doing the proper due verification. Now, you are not just introducing two people. You are at times resulting in such horrific instances because the identity of that person is not truly portrayed on your app.
Clearly, I mean, he has so much EQ, as the psychiatrist said, that he can present a totally different face to the outside world on social media. But what he really was to Shraddha Walker, that's a completely, like I said, almost Jekyll and Hyde. But I want to